The Silly Goose Gang Podcast.
Here we are, folks, back in episode 26, Silly Goose Gang Podcast. Joining us tonight, Drew Sullivan, GB Olympics basketball captain 2012, and Roger Gracie, brown belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Drew, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
First off, because you're saying, how do you say it, Drew? You say Roger or Roger?
Depends if who I'm talking to. Yeah, it depends if I'm talking to.
I don't know what you're supposed to say.
Who aren't necessarily who know that I do jiu-jitsu, but who don't necessarily practice. I'll say Roger. It doesn't cause any confusion. But then, like, actually, people who train, they know who I train with. I will say Roger.
Right, okay. Just I've heard different expressions, and I've never actually asked anybody who knows him. Like, well, what does he like to be called?
Yeah, I'm guessing Roger because that's the pronunciation of his name. So,
yeah.
But, I mean, I've heard people. I've been around, and I've heard him say it, and I've heard people say Roger, and he will answer to it. Like, you know, he won't not answer to that. You know, but your name's your name, isn't it? So
your name's your name, man. Definitely. So, so it's quite an interesting story. You've got, like, normally if somebody was an Olympian, you'd be like, that's impressive. Or if somebody was a brown belt under the GOAT, that'd be quite impressive as well. But you're both. So it's and just from doing a little bit of digging about, Drew, it seems that you are one of those people that I find really annoying that are just good at everything.
My wife will tell you that I'm not good at pool, so I mean, you know, I was with one of my friends today, doing a little bit on the mat, and I was just saying to him that, like, to be honest with you, the basketball has helped a hell of a lot with jiu-jitsu, like learning techniques, especially, and picking them up quite quickly. So I started playing basketball when I was 13, and I can't even tell you how many different teams I played for over that time period. And if I remember correctly, maybe one team in all that time gave a playbook. So everything had to be, because every coach is paranoid that a player is going to leave their playbook somewhere and the other team will get it and they will know all their plays. So there was a expectation to memorize. And I was just saying to him, like, because he was asking me about, like, if I watch an instructional or something, like, you know, can I watch an instructional and does it, like, kind of sink in? And I said to him, well, yeah, I mean, regardless of what I'm watching, it will sink in, but it depends. I'm watching something that relates to what I'm doing already, or something that I've got a particular interest in. It sinks in really, really quickly, and it doesn't take me long for watching it. Because I said to him, at the end of the day, when you're thinking about, like, techniques, transitions, submissions, blah blah blah, there is pattern recognition, and that's what basketball plays are. Pattern recognition, something that you go over and over and over, and then it's like learning it, like understanding the sequence of it, going from A to B to B to C, or so on and so forth, and then it's the muscle memorization. So I said to him, I feel like my experience with playing basketball has helped me massively with learning technique. So
that makes sense. I know, just like what you said there, I've never really been one for. I don't really go to seminars, and I don't personally watch a lot of instructionals because, unless, like you're saying, unless you're, you know, doing a block in your gym doing arm bars, and there's a seminar on arm bars, and if you're doing some other stuff, it just kind of scrambles, and especially when you're still learning, you know, everything kind of gets confused, and you just end up fucking everything up rather than getting good at something. You just fuck everything up. So,
I mean, I remember we had Henzo do a seminar in HQ like a number of years ago, and then I wasn't really supposed to go. It was like early morning, Sunday morning. I had a game the night before, so I was still playing basketball at the time, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go." Got up, drove down, left Leicester like 7:30 in the morning. Got down to London for the seminar at 10 o'clock. and he starts teaching, and he's like teaching these techniques, and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, is this a joke? Like, it feels like he was teaching me, because everything that he was teaching was something that I wanted to know anyway. And I was just, by the next day, I was putting it off with very, very little practice, because I had such an interest in it, and it just sunk in straight away. And it's like stuff like I've talked about, maybe 4 years ago, and it's stuff that I still use from certain positions today, because it just felt like, I mean, obviously it wasn't a seminar, but it was like there's like 50, 60 people there, but everything that he was everything he taught hit home with me, from a personal level. So, but then again, I've been to seminars, and the stuff that's being taught, whether it wasn't the best delivered best way, or wasn't stuff that I was necessarily interested at that particular time. And I leave, and I'm just like, if I'm happy that I pick up maybe or remember one or two things. So.
Now, did when you know, because you obviously the basketball and the jiu-jitsu overlapped a little bit. Did you when you were still playing basketball? Were you looking for an underhook or anything when you were playing basketball, guys?
Funny enough, it was I did a lot of that before I started playing doing jiu-jitsu. Quite a physical. When I played basketball, I was quite a physical player, even though I say this understanding. It's relative, but in terms of like my height and my weight, I wasn't the biggest person on the basketball court, especially considering weight. I was like 6'7", 6'8", 215 pounds, which for my position, my height wasn't necessarily the heaviest. I used to play against guys who were maybe 15 pounds heavier than me, so I had to use a little bit of leverage and a little bit of dirtiness to stay alive.
It's quite funny because you're the second person. And when was Joe Hawley, Ali? We had a guy a guy.
NFL.
Yeah, he was an NFL player, a lineman, and he was saying this. He's like, I was a little bit undersized for playing on the line. I was only like 6'3", 295, and we're like, wait, what? You're fucking giant. You're a giant human being. And you've just said, not that big, 215, 6'7", yeah. That's a big boy.
It's funny though when you get involved in sports, because I played not any level like you did, Drew, but I played American football amateur in Britain, and then got involved with the Scottish Claymores NFL Europe, and it was guys who were on like practice squads and in the NFL got sent across to Europe for a bit of game experience, and it was that thing. A lot of them were maybe undersized or just needed an extra couple of years of seasoning, and it's funny to hear guys like yourself that are obviously supreme athletes, because you wouldn't have been at the level you were, talking about how you're undersized, you weren't quite big enough. Whereas us normal humans, you're like, damn, that's unbelievable.
I mean, look at like the Olympic team. I mean, I think there's pictures online where we're all lined up do at the national anthem, and I'm like kind of like average height on a team, So.
This is so stupid. 6'7", 6'8". Yeah, not that big. It's funny. I was going to say we were. I went to Naga last year in Amsterdam to compete, and some of like the Eastern European guys, like super heavy or ultra heavyweights even, are absolutely enormous. Like guys that are 6'6", 6'7", and 140 kilos. Holy shit! Absolutely huge men. I suppose size. It makes me feel tiny. I'm 6 foot and 100 kilos, and I'm like a tiny little person.
That's weird. A question I had for you, Drew, just while we're talking about height, because obviously Rogier's quite tall. He must be 6'4", 6'5", maybe even a shade taller. Was that an attraction? Did that attract you as when you started jiu-jitsu, that someone might be able to take advantage of your height, or was it just the fact is Roger Gracie, or?
Yeah, when I started, so when I first started, I trained up in Newcastle under Dave Speedy Elliott, and when I started training with him, he actually suggested, he was like, watch this guy because he's tall, Obviously knew Roger and knew of Roger through his instructor, Mark Walder, who knows Mauricio Gomez very well. So, especially at that time, the jiu-jitsu community was even smaller than what it is now. So everyone kind of really, really knew each other. So he was like, watch this guy. So I started to watch quite a bit of like Roger's fights and so on. And then when I moved down to London, I was living in Stratford, and there was a few clubs that were close to where I was. So Stratford, I was living in East London, but Rogers was over in West London, near Latimer Road, Ladbroke Grove.
Mm.
So it was the thought process was, well, have gone to these clubs, this numerous amounts of clubs that were close by me would be a lot more convenient. I could have easily gone. But I was like, I want to go over there, even though I wasn't expecting to be able to train with him or train under him. Him teaching, the possibility to maybe at one day prick his brains, and I went over. And then there was a few. The nice thing is there was a few other guys who were big guys there. Now, that's not to say that the other places wouldn't have had them, but it was nice to go over there and train with like these bigger guys. And there's a friend of mine, his name's Matt Feely. I don't know, not about a bouncer or whatever for the UFC when they were over here in Europe, and he's about 6'4" as well. So, and when he's there, we train together all the time. He actually beats me up, but he teaches me a lot as well. He gives me a lot of advice. And it's nice to be able to pick people's brains who are obviously better than you, but who are taught as well. I mean, I've been lucky enough to spend some time around Roger, when whether it be when he was in Malaga or he's been up to my school on a number of occasions. He's come and spent some time with his family up with me in my house and my family, and we've been able to sit down and talk jiu-jitsu. And he will say, I'll ask him a question and he'll say this, that, and the other. And then he was like, I'll show you tomorrow. And he shows me, and I don't have to do it. I don't have to change anything. Whereas if you have a instructor who, for me anyway, who's 5'8", and they're showing me something, and even though they're showing me it perfectly correct, there's a huge amount of adaptation that I'm gonna have to do to change it to fit what I'm doing, for my size.
Yeah.
So it's always nice, like when Roger walks into the mat and he's like teaching, it's like, I don't have to change anything. I just do almost exactly the way he does it, and I'll be okay.
Would that be for you, Drew? Would that be, so if you were playing guard, would that be kind of angles to make hips to, if you're looking for things from guard or something like that, because with your length, is that what it is?
Like a lot of, I think, especially I think one of the biggest things, well, I mean, there's huge amounts. I've had a few opportunities to train with Roger, like one-to-ones, and one of the biggest things that he's said, and he's gave me advice, was working on De La Riva, because that's probably my favorite guard, my guard of choice. What was happening is I was going to De La Riva, but there was still a lot of space because of my shin bone's so long. So he said to me about changing the angle of when I placed the De La Riva hook in. And since he told me that, it's one of those things, like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like now, but it just
like a light bulb going off.
Yeah, I literally cannot do it any other way now. Yeah. And the difference in how tight it is, but obviously we're talking like from a technical standpoint, but the way that he showed me, it gives me a lot of pushing and putting power, because of the way, just because of the angle. Whereas, how can I put it? Most people, like their shin is almost like in a straight line on the Heaver hook. I kind of like drop my knee to the ground, and I'm putting my foot into the groin, going up in like diagonal, like a diagonal. I don't know how to explain it, right? But but my foot, my laces really, really fit right into the person's groin. So when they try and push forward, I'm able to push them away, and as I straighten my leg, it helps to turn their bodies. So just that like, absolutely game changing for me. Especially for someone who wants to play De La Riva.
Yeah, definitely. That would suit Ali. Ali's quite long and lanky. He's polar opposite to me. But yeah, so just kind of going back to the beginning, Drew. So you started playing basketball at, what did you say, 12 years old? I think you did a little bit of track and field as well. Is that right?
Well, 13 years old when I got into basketball. Absolutely changed my life. I wanted to represent Great Britain at the Olympics doing track. I don't know if that would have happened because like Linford Christie and John Regis was like my quote unquote idols at the time. Those are the people that I looked up to, and I was like, I want to represent Great Britain at the Olympics like they did. Unfortunately, I had like a pretty serious injury when I was 13. I tore my hamstring, dislocated my hip at doing a meet, and like when I go to speak to people like kids and stuff like that, I tell them about it, and everyone goes ooh, and I say, so that's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it brought me down. It brought me down this road, this life that I had now.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that if it didn't happen, like would my life have been any less enjoyable or whatever. But I know what I have and who I have around me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't change that for the world. So
everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of times were you running? Because it was 100 and 200 you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably like just a little bit over 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Quick.
Yeah. I mean, like put in really, really good times for my age. Like I was like getting quite pushed. I was being pushed to become more serious.
Yeah.
Because at the time I lived in Tottenham, so there was was it Lee Valley? There was two really big like national sports centres, Lee Valley, where a lot of the Olympians would train, and then there was another one, I can't remember the other place, but they were both like on my doorstep, like a 10-minute bus ride away from me, away from where I live with my mum. So it would have been easy to get to them, and it was kind of like pushing you should go there, you should be there training and stuff like that. And it was something that really, really crossed my mind, because I did like to think that the possibility of representing Great Britain in the Olympics would have been something that was attainable.
Yeah, it was quite interestingly, Drew, our first Olympian we had on was a friend of ours, Ian Mackey. I don't know if you know the name, was a 100-meter, 200-meter sprinter. And he was, his idol as well was Linford Christie. And one of the cool stories, he met Linford Christie when he was younger, and Linford was just about getting to the top of his game, and he was his idol, and he wanted his picture and all this kind of stuff. And eventually, Ian beat him. I think Ian beat Linford. Was it when he was the Olympic champion, Ali?
Just after being Olympic champion,
Just after Olympic, and he's still got it now as his picture. Like, that's his moment in his career where he's like, that was his crown moment, was beating his idol, Linford Christie.
A better experience than me, because when I met him and I asked him for his autograph, he's like, "Do you have a pen?" I was like, before I got one, he walked off. So he had a better experience than me.
Well, there you go. Don't meet your idols, eh?
They're like I say to people, they're people like anyone else. You can catch them at the wrong minute, so it's hard. You can't judge them in that 5 seconds that you meet someone. Can you?
No, did you
Even though very many times.
Did you when you were at your because I'm assuming London 2012 you guys would have got quite a lot of attention, so did you have fans asking you for pictures? Was that a thing that happened quite a lot, and did you give everybody a little bit of time? Or
yeah, I mean, like the frustrating thing about it, like stuff like that, is that you try and give everybody as much time as you can. But when you're in that environment, especially that kind of environment where it's such a pressure cooker, like we all have our families there too.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, how much time am I able to give you? And then which now am I sacrificing time to be with my family? Especially in the Olympics, where like you come out, you play a game, everyone's like rushing to jump in the shower and get out just to see their families, to give them a hug and a kiss. Before we go back to the Olympic Village or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, but then as you're trying to rush out, you've got fans asking for autographs, blah blah blah. I don't know how many times where someone's asked me for an autograph, and I just like scribbled, I scribbled something that looks like scribble number 8, and then I'm on to the next one, scribble number 8, and then just because I'm trying to get to see the missus and the kids. It's a tough one, and
like it's quite funny because on a completely different level, but just doing this podcast. So I don't know if Ali has this, but I'll have, maybe depends who it is, some friends just texting saying, "Oh, how did it go? How was this guy?" And then you have to message them back because I don't want to be a dickhead saying, "I can't talk to you just now." And so you message everybody back, but then it's 10 minutes because how was Drew Sullivan? What did he say about the Olympics? What did he say about jiu-jitsu and Roger Gracie? And before you know it, I've spent 15 minutes talking to. If I spend 15 minutes talking to 10 people, fucking hell, man, I've done nothing today.
The right thing to do would be like, it's a podcast, we're gonna put it out, and then all of a sudden it's like, don't be a dick.
Yeah. This is, what I mean. I know I completely understand. Doing that, how difficult it would be. But yeah. So, did you have? Is that the highlight of the basketball career? Would be the Olympics? Is that the best thing that happened by a long way?
Yeah, by a long way. It's not even close. I mean, I remember in 2006. I competed at the Commonwealth Games in Australia, and a friend of mine, she competed in Commonwealth Games as well, but she also competed in the Olympics. And her and her husband own the Newcastle Eagles basketball team.
All right.
So when I came back, I was just saying to her like how amazing it was and this, that, and the other. She was just like, "Wait till you got to the Olympics." And I was just like, bullshit, like, it can't be that much more. Like, this was huge. You finish in the game, you got 50 people, 60 people trying to just get interviews in like the press rooms, and the games were like packed and stuff like that. It was like everything was done first class. And she just said, she just blew me off when I said how good it was to wait till the Olympics, like just so nonchalantly. Like, that can't be. But she was right. She absolutely dwarfed it. Because there's no person. So you talk about if you to put it into a way that, because I didn't understand it, and I've been in sport, right? So people who haven't been in sport, they can't really understand it. So the best way I can say is like going to Sunday League, and then going to a Premiership game. Even about like a Champions League final or World Cup final. That's the difference in like how they're so like worlds apart.
So I got I had on a much lower level than you Drew. I boxed for Scotland once, and that was like, holy shit! I had a Scotland tracksuit and the vest, and it was like sitting there, before you fight, and you're like, holy shit, man, this is fucking representing Scotland, man, fuck. And getting piped out to the ring, and it was like the nerves was just insane. And that was just in a leisure centre in Scotland someplace. Do you know what I mean? And I only got one. So I just thinking behind the Olympics is like, fuck, man, there must be so much pressure and so much nerves. And
I mean, it was touching the spirits to go there. I mean, like, when people ask me about it, I actually apologized to them, because I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't. My vocabulary isn't as vast to be able to put it into words to fully give it the justice that it deserves. I think very few people's vocabulary are. It's like you kind of cop out and say the only way that you can understand is to do it, which is true, but it is a cop out, because I just cannot put it into words that will make it like for someone to say, "Oh, okay, I get it." It's like
that makes sense. Yeah.
Did you not see?
it's like the birth of your kid, and I was like, well, slow down.
Did you not have a little touch of it though when you were at Villanova? Because obviously the Wildcats is a huge basketball program out in the States. Did you not see a little bit of that kind of crazy fan adulation at Villanova?
Yeah, you do. Like when we played, especially when we played the first Union Center where the Sixers play. But it's times like 100 still. Even with that, like I mean, I was never lucky enough to make it to like the Final Four. But suppose if you were going to try and make some kind of comparison, that would probably be something that you maybe can compare it to. But we're talking about one sporting event, like the Olympics is hosting X amount of sporting events, and each sporting event is like that one event.
Yeah. It's because you've been in around. You've played in a lot of countries, so you've done quite a lot of traveling around the world, man. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky to do that. So, how was how was Russia? Because you played in Russia for a little
while. Surprisingly, it's one of my favorite places to play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, when I tell people that, they're kind of like, does that look like really? like so normally it goes, really? Yeah, it was really good. Did you not experience any racism? And I was like, yeah, I mean, but
that was
very little.
my question.
That was I think there was maybe one or two occasions that and I remember one of them, I didn't even realize that something was happening. It was like my teammates that kind of made me aware, because they stopped me from going out back on the court, or stopped myself and like the other two black players going on the court. But we had no idea what was being said or what was going on or whatever. And it was just a small pocket of like the crowds, like a few kids or a few lads that maybe had a little bit too much to drink, or maybe a little bit of something else, and they were just being rowdy or whatever, and making like remarks. But it wasn't, because it was in Russian. I had no idea. So, and then they took the kid, this group of kids out, and then the game continued. But I think that was the only one that I can remember. Which is when I tell people that, they're surprised. Very really surprised. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because the level of competition was very, very high. Out of all the places that I played, they were like the only place that had a higher level of competition was when I played in Spain.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's this all sounds really cool. And you're like, yeah, when I played in Spain, Russia was quite good. Spain was pretty nice, yeah, man. It was, and then
myself and my missus, we lived in Barcelona, so, and like maybe 4 blocks away from the beach, so it wasn't bad at all.
Awesome. Was it Belgium and Cyprus and Holland? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Cyprus was alright because we were close to a beach, and it was nice. The weather was there. Belgium was good in the sense that I was playing under my GB coach, and I was playing with about 4 guys. There was 4 of us in the team from the national team. That was really cool. We were already friends before, so when we all kind of got there together, we spent quite a bit of time, like our families and stuff. So that was really cool. But we lived in a place called Mons, which it's not a hotbed for anything in Belgium. so
not even waffles.
No. So you're kind of like talking. The 2 biggest places were the bar where we played, and then the shopping center. That was it, really. But we played some good basketball there, and we played. We got to the Euro Cup finals. We lost in the finals, unfortunately, but we had a really, really strong team. I enjoyed the year there. That was my missus. She was with me then, and our daughter was just born. So there was, as well as being away from our families, there was quite a bit of adjustment of having a little one there as well. So, but you know, it's all the experiences, you know, build you
Yeah,
up.
man. Definitely. It's all cool experiences. So yeah, and then when would it be? About 2014 you got into jiu-jitsu?
Well, no, not officially. I got into jiu-jitsu 2010, I think. 2010. I got into jiu-jitsu earlier, anyway. And
Yeah.
I trained under the Speedy Elliott for about a year and a half. And then then we started talking, getting ready for. Oh no, it doesn't add up now.
Too many things, mate. You've done too many things,
Yeah,
Drew.
no, I'm trying to do the math now, but like it must have been or there or thereabouts. I started training with Dave way before 2014. I trained for like a year and a half. Then I was getting ready for. I think ready, maybe officially getting ready for the Olympics. Kind of like the run-in. Stopped training. Took a while off for now, and I took longer than I expected or what I thought I would. It took quite a while, but I think at the time at that moment I enjoyed it, but I hadn't. It wasn't the love affair that I have now with it. Like
Yeah.
now, I can't. You know, I can't do without jiu-jitsu. It's like, you know, something that I've invested so much time in. I've got such a big passion for. I don't think that at that time it wasn't the same. So it was kind of like, if me stopping wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Especially because I still had like a really, really massive affinity with basketball as well.
Yeah.
Um, so it wasn't until the 2014, I guess, when I moved down to London, and that summer, funny enough, one of my mates, he said to me about like, oh, do you not train anymore? I was like, I haven't trained for years. You know, do you not fancy it? And I was like, So I kind of didn't give him an answer. I didn't say yes, didn't say no. Got back to the house and I asked the missus. I was like, where's my geese? And she's like, I think they're still in the loft. You know, she's like, why? I was like, oh, you know, Chris is like talking about training. She said I should have thrown him out.
Yeah, as long as they're still in the house, there's the outside chance, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I went up, climbed up in the loft, got my geese, my coral. I think they were coral geese, and my white belt with two stripes on it. Went up, got it, and then I said to call Chris. And I was like, "So what do you want to do?" He's like, "Oh, do you fancy coming in and doing something on I don't know if it was a Tuesday or whatever." I was like, "Yeah." I got there, I started training. I was absolutely gassed. My forearms were burning, but then I started kind of like falling. I started kind of getting that buzz of training again.
Yeah.
And then when I moved down, when knew I was going to sign for a team in London, I started looking for clubs straight away. That was the first thing
Yeah.
I did. And then when I looked at the map and I was like, right, Rogers is X amount this far away from Stratford. Can it be done? And it was like maybe like an hour on the train, but in London, everything's an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to go and I used to train. Like it got to the point where I remember one of my instructors, Bruno, was looking at my attendance card and he's like, are you a basketball player that does jiu-jitsu, or are you a jiu-jitsu player that does basketball? So
That's cool.
yeah, so
was it because I know, you know, when I first kind of stopped boxing and went to jiu-jitsu, it was difficult being good at something to being fucking dreadful at something again. Was that something? Did you find that?
um not in that sense. I like I like Junior, he's like one of the black belt instructors there, and like we were really close. He's become like quite a mentor to me. I remember talking to him and we were talking about gradings, and I was like, because when I played basketball, I like ripped through, like, you know, I was 16 representing England men's, so it was just like I progressed really, really quickly. So in my mind, it's like you put the work in, you're gonna progress really, really quickly. So I was saying to him, yeah, if I keep training, like, when do you think I'll be able to get my blue belt? And it was just like a naive question from a person who hadn't been in that really in in the jiu-jitsu world. I come from a different sporting world, and it's like basketball, quite like football. Is if you're good enough, or if you're good enough, then you're old enough, or if you're good enough, you get pushed through, or whatever it may be. So he's like, he's like, don't worry about the belt, man. So it's like, okay, but in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna train. So I think it was the first grade in. It was my first grade in there. I was there in the summer of 2014. The winter 2014. Like so many people, like some of my peers and some of the guys who were a grade above me. There's like, there's no way that you don't get your blue belt, because I was like really, really doing well. Like, obviously I did it. I'm absolutely gutted. But it just pushed on, and I think it made me more hungry than anything else. It was just like one of those things where it taught me a really, really important lesson. I think it's like it did it, like what you said. It's not about the belt, belt, and when I'm teaching my students now, and they kind of like, nobody comes out and asks the question. Nobody was as stupid as what I was. One of my students was stupid to say, "When am I going to get graded?" But you can hear it in their questioning. And I was like, I just said, it's not about it. I was like, I said, I remember I got my brown belt in December. I went the grading, and I've had it for like 2 or 3 days, and then one of my friends was like, now the black belt. I was like, let me just get used to the weight. Just about being able to carry the weight of this, and now you're talking about. I was like, nah, mate, it will come when my instructors think that I'm ready. So.
It's funny because I remember when I got to the stage where I'd been a white belt for ages, 4 stripes in the white belt and all this, and then it became like being obsessed with getting a blue belt. I want a blue belt. And then once I actually got a blue belt and competed and stuff, then you were like, I don't care about belts anymore. I just want to get better at jiu-jitsu. It's just like, as a white belt, I wanted to be a blue belt. And then you get your blue belt and you go, it doesn't fucking mean anything, does it? It means nothing. I just want to get, and then I just put all that to one side and just kind of went, okay, how do I get better at jiu-jitsu? I haven't thought about it since, really.
Yeah, I think like I have a lot of conversations. Surprise. One of the ones that I was having with like one of my really, really close friends is like, I don't even care about going and sparring anymore. Like I said that, like, the only sparring that I'm really, really interested in doing is specific sparring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like when I first started. Like, don't get me wrong. I do like going in like maybe once or twice a week and just blowing it out and just spar. You need that for like timing and so on and so forth. But I was like, I really, really enjoy specific sparring now. So much more than what I did when I was even like when I was a purple belt. Like, coming to the end of my purple belt and going into my brown belt, it's specific sparring. That's what I love. I go in, we go over technique with we have like a small group of guys who train together. We'll go over something, whatever. We'll drill it a few times, and we don't drill the hell out of it, because like I kind of I mean, obviously with Roger being my instructor, a lot of his philosophies have kind of like trickled down into mine, as you would expect. And he says that he's like, he doesn't drill. It's like drill till he understands the mechanics, and then straight to specific sparring. And that's kind of like what I've come to start doing now, and I really, really enjoy it. And I feel as though I've seen like quite a drastic improvement in stuff that I was good at has gotten so much better now that I'm just specific sparring. So
yeah,
definitely. Our instructor John started doing something similar, hasn't he, Chris? Where we'll do a round where you can the only thing you can attack for is maybe an arm bar. Just that's the only way you can win that specific round, is you've got to work to the arm bar. So the minute your arm starts getting attacked, all you have to worry about defending is that arm bar. And then vice versa, and as you say, it tightens up. Or for the next 4 minutes, all you can do is a sub with a choke of some description. So no joint locks, whether it's a rear naked, whether it's a guillotine, whether it's a triangle, you just have to choke your opponent.
Yeah,
That's what we've been doing a lot of over the last, up until lockdown, but we've been doing it for about 6-8 months or so, and you see the noticeable difference in everyone's game getting better.
Absolutely. I mean, like we so like our competition classes are pretty much ran like that. It's pretty much half specific sparring and then half like rounds and rounds stand up. And it's just like we go in and say right. The first round specific sparring half guard. So then you get half guard on top, half guard on bottom. The next round close guard or back or mount or what have you, and you try and cycle through as many positions. And it's like when you kind of start kind of getting to that level, it's not even about like going over. Like obviously you still want to learn. That's just really important to all of us to improve and like continue like our knowledge base and stuff. But it's like, well, you put yourself in those positions where if I like, especially when I'm in Leicester, like with my guys, if I didn't want anyone to pass my guard, they wouldn't pass my guard. So then now, or something, it's just like, well, I don't want to be in side control, so I just don't let them pass my guard. Then now I get really, really poor because when I go down to London and everyone's passing my guard, I haven't got any repetition of going, someone side control and trying to escape and so on and so forth. So it becomes very, very useful in those positions where you're like, oh, I suck at it. Well, then put yourself in, get better at it. It is really, really easy. Just this specific sparring, like me personally, I hope nobody that I compete against watches this. Like one of my least favorite positions is being in like half guard on the bottom, but what I've been doing lately is just go put myself there and kind of going like 60-70% to see what people do and defend it. And if they pass or whatever, then we go again or whatever. So now I'm starting to learn it, and I've been getting better. So and it's also helped me by being in that position. It's kind of really helped me with my reverse dead heaver because that's something else that I wasn't very good at either. So
yeah, I did. I did something very similar, Drew, with our friend Phil. Shout out to Phil if he's watching. He's off doing his training for the military just now. He used to leg lock me constantly, and then eventually I'd sit down and offer him my leg and go, what is he doing? Like just trying to figure it out piece by piece, and then then work back and go, okay, I do this. You can't heel hook me if I do that. Whatever it would be. So that's it's quite funny when people don't want to put themselves in the positions they're not good in. Whereas, I would say, exactly what you're saying. No, put yourself exactly in those. But if you can't, defend a rear naked choke, you'd say, well, just let them start on your back. Figure out how to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, did you compete this year? Is that right? Did you compete this year?
Yeah, I competed in Europeans this year. So I was brown belt in December, Europeans in January. So I was like, go for it. Like I lost my lost my second fight, and I came off the mat and Roger was there, and like one of our other black belts there, like he's a really great guy, Dave. And I was pissed, and Dave was like, "What are you upset about?" And I was just like, and then like, I kind of looked at him, and Roger looked at him, and he's like, "Yeah, but I know I don't compete, but what are you upset about?" He's like, "Your first one at brown belt." So like Roger, so myself and Roger started talking. It was just like, it's I mean, you guys compete, right? So it's like. It's not even like it wasn't even like I was upset necessarily about me losing per se. It was like that you have an expectation of your ability, and when if it went the full like 5 minutes or whatever, I probably would have been like I'd have been upset, but I'd have been like, all right. But I made a mistake, and then in trying to correct my mistake, I overcorrected it. And it put me in where I got ankle locked or whatever. So it was it was the mistake and then compounding it. And that's what upset me more than anything else.
Yeah.
And you know, the good thing is like, you know, like obviously Roger's been there for so many times. You can't, like, you speak to him and he's just like, he said, is it easily fixable? And that kind of makes you feel a little bit better, you know. So,
Is that does that add any pressure? I know obviously you've been on the biggest stage at Olympics, but if you because anybody that knows jiu-jitsu knows Roger Gracie is probably the greatest, certainly the greatest in a gi of all time. So does that if you're standing there knowing that Roger Gracie's standing watching you, does that add a little bit of pressure?
I like he's so I've done Europeans a few times, and he's been there. I've done London Open, and he's always been in my corner. Like really, really happy about that. He and Junior like virtually been in all those, and Bruno. And I don't think it does. Like for me, anyway, I feel like it's more pressure on the other person. If I'm honest,
okay, yeah.
Because it's like, well, he's getting this advice from Roger Gracie, kind of. Roger's there shouting, do this or do that or whatever. I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on the other person.
Okay.
I like, I joke around. I said like when I won the Europeans as a blue belt, I said that Roger coached me through all my mistakes. But at the end of the day, like, to a certain extent, there's advice that you're kind of getting from outside of the mats and so on, but it's you on there. Like, when I'm coaching like my guys, I can see something that they can't see, but I can't feel what they're feeling at that moment. Or and like, we all know that it's those little inches where I kind of move my hips that a little bit. But why didn't you sweep him? Because I couldn't move my hips. But your hips were right there. You could have. It's like, but I couldn't move it at 1 extra inch just to kind of get the leverage. And those are the things that you can't, you don't see when you're on the side coaching. So you to almost to your own devices, or making up your own mind, or you're making up your own choices with sound advice from your coaches outside the mat. I mean, like, with that being said, truth be told, I shit myself every time I go to the mats. I have my students come up to me and they're just like, you look so calm, like when you're kind of there. And I was like, oh, you didn't see me 2 minutes ago when I was walking to the mat. And I was like, I'm like trying to be calm, but like, it's the same when I play basketball. Like, I played at the Olympics. I played for GB. I played in the Europeans. I played in championship final, like big championship finals over here and in Europe or whatever. I was nervous before every single game, but I always made a promise to myself, like, you can be as nervous as you want, but as soon as the ball gets thrown up, you got to wash it all away. It's the same thing when jiu-jitsu. I said you're allowed to be as nervous as you like. As soon as you put your foot on the mat, let it wash away.
Yeah, it's funny, I could, again, at a lower level than you do, but every time a boxer's calling, so I boxed at a decent level, not good enough, nowhere near good enough for Olympic level, but every single time you were putting gloves on and walking to the ring, it was like fuck. Then as soon as you got in the ring and the referee announced you, then it was like, right, okay, let's do this shit. And then,
there's nowhere that you can't go anywhere. So
no, you can't run away. So and I had the same thing. I got to I lost a Naga final, intermediate, heavyweight, and I lost to a big German guy. And I couldn't sleep all night. Exactly what you're saying. Going, I fucking should have beat him. I just made a stupid mistake. I had better jiu-jitsu, but he was a big, strong guy, and I lost. And it's the same thing. And to be fair, I do the same after these. I do the same after the podcast. I all night I'll go, did I say something stupid? Did I sound stupid? Did I fucking beat myself off in my head? But I need to learn just to go.
Let's go even for say perfectionists. We worry more about like the losses than we ever celebrate wins. I can literally tell you every, like, virtually you name a fight or competition or a basketball game I lost, I could probably tell you every little thing that I did wrong, could have done better. And if you say something like, but this game, I was just like, yeah, I won. That's it.
Yeah.
We won. So
It's such a the thing is, like you're saying, Drew, you learn so much though from your losses versus your wins. I think in life as well. We had Brandon McGaffron on episode 10. He's a 10th planet black belt out in the States. Yeah. And he was talking about he thinks that everyone in their life has to go through these 4 kind of wins and losses. A win where you put everything into it, everything in the build-up, everything into it, and you win. One where you do absolutely nothing, you're out all night boozing, you don't put the preparation in, but you win. Yeah. And then the flip of that is the one where you put all the preparation in and you still lose.
Yeah.
And then the one where you put no preparation in and you lose because of it. And that's where you learn your kind of 4 lessons, particularly the ones where you put all the effort in and you think you've done all the preparation right and you just run up against someone that's better than you, or you make that mistake and you're not, the other person exploits it, that game of inches. You learn so much from those kind of things though, versus I just blew through those guys and, you get a hand raised at the end, it isn't nice, you get the W, whatever, but the learning comes from those tough ones where you think, I could have, or I should have won that.
The biggest revolution, revolution. Our biggest change in my jiu-jitsu came after a loss. We did the British Open. That's the one in Coventry. British Open, British Nationals. The British anyway in Coventry. The Braulio Estima and Victor Estima put on. And I just got my purple belt, I believe. I had it for very long. And I went and I signed up for a competition at super heavy. There wasn't anyone in my bracket, so they moved me up for ultra heavy. So happy days. So I go there and I'm like competing against these guys who like really, really massive guys. I think the lightest guy that I competed against was 114 kilos, and I at the time weighed like 94. So the first, I think I had 4 fights. Won the first 3, then the final comes, and like in the first 3, I didn't pull guard because I was like, I don't want to pull guard with these big guys on top of me or whatever. But just because of the fights and like them just leaning their sheer weight on me, my body, I could feel myself getting tired. Yeah. So I decided, I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull guard. So I pull guard on this guy. I'm like I said, I'm 6'7", yeah, without shoes. I could barely get my legs around this guy. That's how. Right. So he passed my guy, gets the half guard or what have you, and like we're there for like a long time. He's just dropping his weight. I can't really move, but I'm not necessarily in danger, but I need to get out. In the last like 30 seconds, like I just kind of like put it all in, and he catches me with Kimura, and like I tapped and I didn't realize how much time was left. I tapped with like maybe 6 seconds left or something like that. So I lost. Lost to Kate, got silver or whatever. I was with my friend, like my really close friend of mine, and we were driving back up to Newcastle. And the whole time I was just like effing and blind. Fuck. I should have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have I let him get on top of me. I should have, blah, blah, blah. And literally, the moment I pulled on my driveway, all that went, and I was like, right, I need to get myself a belt. I need to get myself a belt open guard. And the next like hour or so, I got on the Facebook forum, and I was like, I need to get me in contact with David Anuma, and got in contact with him. Went down, did some privates with him, and now like I play open guard way more than I play closed guard now. I mean, competition wise, I still like closed guard, like what I go to, but I don't have that worry about people opening my guard like I did before that point. Like I'm happy if you open my guard, and it's like you're actually kind of going into what I'm really, really, really good at now. So like you said, it was something that at that moment in time was like it pissed me off more than anything else. It wasn't devastating or anything like that. It was just annoying. It pissed me off. Yeah. But in the 3 hours drive, I kind of got out of my system. And then the moment the car was on my drive, I had started making a plan on how to improve.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
it's the only way to
these
do
things.
it.
So yeah.
It's the only way
I
to do
mean,
it,
like
man.
now it's like to the point where I've got people who like some of my friends who train over in Sunderland are get in contact with me, ask me to teach them about open guard stuff, whether it be the double sleeves, whether it be collar and sleeve, De La Hiva, and they're coming to me for advice. And that's kind
Yeah.
of like since then, like 2 years ago, I put like a lot of time into it now. So yeah. So it was the best. One of the best things that happened to my jiu-jitsu. So
It's nice. It's nice to hear somebody who's an athlete who's been at the top level in different sports saying these things. It's
yeah,
comforting for us mortals. So it's quite nice to hear you saying that. It's not just us. So, but yeah, it's an interesting old journey with jiu-jitsu. It's sorry, I thought sorry. You froze there, and I thought you disappeared. I was going to say something, and you froze. Yeah, no. So, as you know, have you got other plans for later on this year to compete if it's possible?
I mean, I don't like. From what I understand, like all the IBJJF stuff is going to be cancelled for the year. I will see if they hold to that. But I would imagine that still, like some of the local competitions will still go on. Hopefully, because probably a lot of them use these competitions to help fund their clubs, or like inject or have like a cash injection into their club. So if there's a competition that's going on or what have you, I definitely will compete. My plan was to compete like quite regularly this year, get my brown belt. I want to really, really kind of settle in and compete. Obviously, Mother Nature had other plans about
Yeah,
that. But if there's opportunity to compete, I'll compete. If there's opportunity, even like I think what will probably end up being like a lot of people's competitions uh, outside of like actually competing is visiting gyms that they're friendly with and people that they don't know with they don't know or they don't know if depending on obviously how welcoming those clubs are with everything that's going on, because I know that a lot of people are like they're trying to become they're kind of like closing the net around their club so they can train without people coming in from the outside. So it just depends on that. I mean, I've got a couple of places where I can go and train outside of like my club, like outside of my club or outside of HQ, where I can go and train with people who I wouldn't normally train with. And different bodies that I don't necessarily train with, or they don't know my game and I don't know theirs. So that at very very worst, that will be the substitute for competing. So
it's funny because that's what I don't really compete at all in jiu-jitsu, just because of cost predominantly. We're having a family and just can't really always justify the entrance fees. But because I travel work a lot, I've got a couple of gyms down south, one in Swindon, one in Northampton, as we're saying. Ray Paul at BST, shout out to him, and Will Stone at 10th Planet Swindon. So whenever I'm away, I get to train with their guys, and it's almost like competing because, as you say, it's people that I don't know that well at all, don't know their game, they don't know mine. And it's to jump in as in essentially in an open mat situation and just, roll and you tap and you learn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it, I think like, I mean, obviously you say you don't compete, but like, I think by doing that, if you ever decide, I'm going to sign up for competition, you've had that feel of the nervousness, because walking into a gym that you don't really know people with, that's sometimes can be very gut wrenching, or training with someone that you don't know what do they do, what do they, are they better at what are they better defending my attacks than so on and so forth. So it's the same kind of thoughts and feelings that you have when you go to a competition, so so I think it's a good tool to have or to use when you can in preparation to competition. So
yeah, I'm quite lucky, for jiu-jitsu competitions, and just going to other people's gyms. Drew, having come from boxing, I was in the Scotland setup for a little while, and he used to go spar everybody, the army teams and all this kind of stuff. So that doesn't bother me in the slightest with jiu-jitsu. So it's quite nice coming from that background, but it's just like cool. I'm here. Who wants to roll? Let's fucking do it, yeah. I think it's quite nice when you're quietly confident in your own ability as well. I'm obviously just a blue belt level, but if I go into, I don't feel like there's any blue belt anywhere that's going to embarrass me. See, I'm quite confident in that. Purples and browns will fuck me up, but I go, as a blue belt, you
should feel confident, like in knowing that you put your time in and stuff. Like, I mean, I've I go to like various different gyms and whatever, and like not the places where I go, or like to gyms where like they've got really, really high level guys. So you expect it to be tough roles, be tough training, and I go there with the understanding that I'm still going to open my game up. Because I want to be able to still work on what I'm working on, but then also you're going to give me so much more feedback than maybe some of the other guys that I train with. Like if I start opening my game a little bit with like some of my guys, unless the guys I teach or the guys I teach up in Newcastle, sometimes they kind of get like nervous because they're like, oh, he's trying to trap me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had the same feeling when I was sparring with some of the black belts. So it's like they're trying to trap me. So also you can't become paralyzed, and you don't go for what you would normally. So it's nice to go to other places when they, like I said, they don't know your game. So it's like you do something and they're like, oh, and they go for it, and then whether it be a trap or not, So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, one thing interesting to just get your opinion on before we wrap up, Drew, is how important do you think? Obviously I know the answer to it already, but how important do you think that in the current situation, with race relations, is jiu-jitsu, these sports where everybody gets on the mat and we all slap hands and cuddle, how important do you believe that is, for relations?
So I'll put it this way, right? Like, I'm sure, like, for the question, I'm not. I won't be surprised if you've seen the post, like the nice post that so many people have put up, and it's like, why can't the world be more like gyms where this, that, and the other? And I don't believe that. I don't believe that to be true.
Okay.
Because look, at the end of the day, if we're in a gym, right? Let's say, for instance, I'll just use us as an example. Obviously, there's no accusations or no assumptions or whatever. But I'm there. I'm a brown belt, right? You come in after me. You've been there for a year or so, year or two. You get your blue belt, right? You're not going to really kick off with me because of my color. If you be a blue belt and me be a brown belt, because y'all kick your ass and I can really, really hurt you. People don't really say what they want because they're more worried about, well, I don't want to get hurt by someone, whether it be me or someone who's a friend of mine who you might say something to some behind my back. They don't say anything or they make a big deal of it, but they just beat the shit out of you. Every time they spar or whatever. So I don't believe that. There is no utopian place on earth where it escapes what's going on in real life. Yeah. Now, people will be more respectful. Yeah. People will be more maybe guarded with their personal views or what have you, because they're in an environment where it's multicultural, multi-ethnic, and their love for the place where they train outweighs them speaking out about their personal views regarding something. I think it'd be naive for people to think that that because we do jiu-jitsu that there isn't people who have racist views, political views that are different for us, racial views. It would be very, very naive. Yeah. I will go as far as saying that there's people that I train with, and I've seen stuff that they've put up, and I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I suppose there's arseholes everywhere, isn't there? Unfortunately,
that's true. Like that's I think that's the one thing. Like, cause I've seen these posts that say that like about just train jiu-jitsu. The place where like everyone treats everyone the same or whatever. Well, do we like is it like or is it an environment that is just it's just I'll put my views aside for the hour that I have to be around other people or what have you. Like, and I could be like, someone might say to me, I'm being very, very cynical or what have you. But I can show you my Facebook feed of what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? And then you turn around, and then I'll let you decide. It's like, well, I train with this person. I used to train with this person. I know where they're trained. If I've spoken to, and they're the nicest people to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would have to the point where I would if someone said to me, asked me about a name, I'll say, "Oh, they're a good guy, and they're my friend."
Yeah.
Because of my interaction with them. Now, look, I interact with them maybe 3 or 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
These people have their personal views 24/7. So I can't expect that my interaction with someone is going to have such a profound like change on their lives, that when they're away from me for that period of time, that it also has influence. Like I think and don't get me wrong, I love jiu-jitsu, and I think that jiu-jitsu can help a lot of people with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But if you have if you have this view, a view like the view like what we're talking about, like racism, and to be honest with you, like, and I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to harp on about it. I think what happens a lot of times, there's a very racism and ignorance is so close.
Yeah.
Like they can get mistaken for each other. So sometimes is so I'm very, very wary on calling someone a racist. Before I make that distinction, I almost had I almost ask them, well, why do you think that? Some people answer you, some people don't, and then like sometimes people answer you, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're fucking racist.
Yeah, you're racist.
Other people answer you, and I'm just like, you know what, you're just misinformed. Yeah. That's not actually how it really is, or what have you. And then you have a conversation with them, and they turn around and say, I really, really thought it was this. And no, it's not. And then they're like, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm really, really sorry. It's like, okay, but you've able to kind of like, I don't want to say educate someone because I'm not a teacher, but you kind of like whatever misinformation that they had, now you kind of give them, now you kind of corrected it or what have you. But then there's some people who are just racist, and there's some people who are just when I say ignorant, I don't mean it in the sense that someone's stupid. I mean it's just they're misinformed. They don't have enough information on because I'm like I've some of my students, they're Muslim, and I will say something, and then I'm like, is that all right? With like regards to their like holidays and stuff like that, and I'm like, I haven't got that wrong, have I? And I'll be first one to say, like, I'll say to them, I'm really, really ignorant about that, and they'll say, no, you got it right, actually, or no, this is how it is, and then it's like, but so
I think it's I think what the bit that's scary is when you start to become, you don't want to ask in case somebody says, oh, if you're asking that, you must be racist because you don't, that's when it becomes a little bit scary. Where
I think one of the things that I think this is one of the things that us as Black people as well, we have to soften up a little bit with regards to that, because it can't. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll be the first person to say that I will do everything. I got 3 kids, or what have you, and I'll fight tooth and nail for their rights, for equality or whatever. But when people always think fight means fisticuffs, it doesn't. It doesn't always mean that, and it doesn't mean going to war with people. So I think like if someone says something or someone's asking a question, we don't have to we can entertain the question. We can answer the question. Doesn't mean that the person trying to belittle us or trying to make us. It could just very, very well mean the person wants to understand. Like I've had these conversations with my friend. They said, "Well, one of my students who's a Muslim, I want to understand so I can do better. I can be better." You know. So. Well,
it's Scotland and England are very different countries. You know, obviously there's a lot more multiculturalism in England. It's just a bigger place. There's just more people. So it's interesting to get a perspective from somebody in England as opposed to because we don't. There's not like the friend Phil that was talking about is Chinese. He's the nicest guy in the world, really cool. But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole there's not a whole bunch of other people than white Scottish guys that train with us. So
I mean, like I had a friend of mine. He's from I think he's from Vietnam. His family's from Vietnam, and like they were making a point. We made a point like when people use the word around him like chinky and stuff like that, they're gonna get him food from the chinky and stuff like that. And it's like I said to him, "Do you not correct them?" And he was like, "Yeah, but like it's people that I know." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's even more the reason why." Because you're not being a dick by correcting them. You're actually being a really, really good friend by correcting them. Because imagine if they've been around you and they've said it, and in their mind is an okay term to use because you've never corrected them, and they say it not necessarily to someone from the Chinese or Asian background or Japanese, whatever. They say it around someone, and then they get called out. The person who calls them out might not be as nice as you, you know. So you can actually maybe save your friends from some heartache later on. You don't have to, because it is like when I being here in the Northeast, like it's not the most multicultural, to be honest. And I work at like a provisional school for young people. And one of the kids was like, I was driving, they used the word, they were like, "Oh yeah, I've got like the packies." And then I was in the car, and I just looked up in the rearview mirror, and we caught eyes, and then he put his head down. So, we got out of the car. I said to him, like, "Can I have a word with you quickly?" And I was like, "You're not in trouble. I just want to have a quick word with you." So he apologized to me, and I said to him, "Why are you apologizing to me? You never said anything racist about me." And he was like, "Yeah, but," I said to him, "But," I said, "the but is, when I'm not around, what do you say about me?"
Yeah.
It's about you. No, never. I said to him, "I'm sure you don't because you're a good kid." But the thing is like, it's a cultural thing now I'm talking about. Like you're talking about a good kid using a word that really shouldn't be socially acceptable. But he's grown up around people, whether it be parents, whether it be friends, uncles, aunties, blah, 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 that use the word. So it's like a lot of re-education that you have to do, and you're talking about years and years and years of trying to re-educate someone. It's not easy, and it's not a quick fix. So
it's not. I would imagine because, as you say, so many people use it, and especially up in Scotland, the central part of Scotland, where me and Chris are, things like that. We're away to the chinkies or whatever, and it's I cringe at it. Even saying it there, I felt a bit cringy saying that, but people use it without thinking it's racist because, no, it is. That's what it's called, and you're like, well, actually, no, it's not. And I guess, coming from a white guy, take that as it is. But, you're like, trust me, that is racist to say that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not really, because that's what my gran calls it. That's what my dad calls it. And again, it's just that generational.
Yeah. What you find is when you say, well, that's not what it's called, and a lot of people turn around and say, well, when did you become such a justice warrior? You know what I mean? It's like, use is like, but it's, it's a funny one in the sense of, so actually I'll make 2 points, and either you're gonna get some comments that say that was a good point, or you're gonna get some comments that people will be like, who the fuck does he think he is? So look, this is how I look at it, right? There's 2 points that like I made to two different people, and I think it like hit home for them. Talking about Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. And I said to him, yes, all lives matter. That is true. And the point that the person was making was, well, white people receive police brutality the same way black people do. And I said, yes, they do. I said, I've seen videos or what have you. He was like, well, so you know it happens to both, to everyone. Yes, I do. He's like, but we're not crying about it. Exactly. Why are you not? Why are you not? Why are you not upset that police are either beating up other white people, or in some cases killing white people? Why are you not speaking up about it? But you're upset that we are as a culture, as a minority. So you're upset that we are, but you're not. Who's got it wrong here? Now, if it was happening and the white people were speaking up about it or whatever, like it's wrong, we shouldn't be doing it, they having like their protests or whatever, then it would have been easy to say all lives matter, because the black people would be like, yes, that should happen to us too. So all lives matter, but it hasn't. So it's like, okay, I guess someone's looked at it and said, well, okay, you guys aren't talking about it, and it happens to you guys too, but it happens to us. So if you guys aren't going to talk about it, we've got to talk about it for ourselves. Okay, so that's where you kind of come with the Black Lives Matter. The second is like talking about equality, and how upset people are about, other minorities ask for equality. It's almost like they treat equality like a cake, right? So if you have a cake and there's a certain amount can go around, this amount of equality is for us, and this amount of equality is for you. But we're like, well, I want more. I like to have more. I like to have some more for my kids or whatever, my family member. That means I've got to take more cake, right? So that means less cake for you. You can understand why someone will be upset. But equality is very much more like air, like oxygen. Yeah, it's there for everyone. The more I take doesn't mean that you're not going to have you can't breathe.
Yeah.
There's enough equality. There's enough oxygen for all of us to breathe. So why can't we have some more? And that was the 2 points that I made to like I said, to these people or whatever. And it's kind of like, yeah, when you put it like that kind of way, yeah, all right, it's like there's I think there's a little bit, and this is not everybody, so I'm not paying everyone with the same brush, but it's just that this view that, like, well, let's white people can't have what they have and still be happy, and black people can't have more of what they perceive that they don't have, and everyone be happy. Like, you can't. It's not like someone's taking something away from the other group or so on. So, and then like I said, like looking at equality, there's one way of looking at it as a cake, or there's one looking at it as oxygen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's yeah. That covers that, I think.
Beautiful.
Let's keep it nice and light-hearted. We don't want it to be too heavy.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to go down. Like, I didn't want to make this like a political or a race thing. I just just wanted your opinion on the. But you make good points. Can't argue with any of what you've just said. So yeah, and it's and I've said this before in this podcast, not about race, but about political things where, certainly in Scotland, I know, and I know what happens in the rest of the country, is people will, if you vote this way, they want to tear you to bits. If you vote this way, they want to take it. And you go, wait, we have to be able to have the conversation, or nothing will ever get fixed, man. Nothing ever gets fixed if you don't have the conversation.
Yeah, I've said this, like, when my mum was growing up, and my grandmother and stuff like that, it was like, well, why does this set of people hate this set of people? It's because of the skin color. Okay, my mum grew up. Why do they hate this people? This set of people hate this set of people. It's the skin color. I'm growing up. Why is this people hate this people? It's because of skin color. When my kids eventually ask me this question, I don't want to let people off the hook by saying it's your skin color, because that's for me, that's too easy of an answer. So when someone makes, I've had this incident where someone's made a racist remark to me, and I was like, well, could you tell me why you feel that way? Like really, really calm. Like, no, I'm not get angry or whatever, because for two reasons. One, I kind of really want to know, and two, it puts the ball in your court to explain your actions now.
Yeah.
And it's just like they can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you hate me for no real good reason. Like,
what was quite funny, Drew, is when I worked in, I can't exactly remember where it was, somewhere in Croydon, and I remember, distinctly remember, I've never been more confused in my life. We were walking away, and this black guy walks past, and he called me a white piece of shit, and I went,
yeah.
That just happened. and just thinking, what the fuck? I've never even met you before. I live in Scotland. You don't even know me. And it was the most outrageous thing. And I just went, oh, okay. And it didn't make any effect to me at all. But it's just one of those things. You go, holy shit.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't realize is that like if let's say for instance we were together and that happened to me, I'd be like, wait, who you talking to? I would say it to the guy. And it's not because, and it for me, it's not even about the color thing of it. It's just rude.
Yeah.
Like who brought you up? Like to address anyone in, let's take the color out. Just like to talk to anyone like that. Like So
it was just a surreal thing.
Yeah, it comes down to.
It was a good judge of character to realise that in that snap second. In fairness to you, Chris, but that's beside the point.
I mean, to be fair, he would be right. I am actually a fucking asshole, but he didn't know that. He didn't know that. But yeah, it's funny. It's
yeah. I mean, look. Like you said it before, right? And stuff. You said it very, very well. There's assholes everywhere. Like there's assholes on there's white assholes, there's black assholes, there's Muslims who are assholes, there's Christians who are assholes, there's Jewish, like there's jiu-jitsu people who are assholes. Let's tell it how it is. So to expect people to be any different because they do jiu-jitsu or they go to church on Sunday or they pray or they do this or they start a foundation. Come on, people are people, and all you can ask is for us to do better.
One of the best ways of putting this ever. Was our friend Johnny, who is a strength and conditioning coach, and he had grown up and got he was a Catholic in Scotland, and he had got some hassle off Protestants, and he said to me one night when we were in the pub, and he just said it took me a long time to realise that they weren't assholes because they were Protestants, they were just assholes who happened to be Protestants.
Yes.
Exactly. And then I was like, oh, that's a good way of putting it. I mean? A very, very good way of putting it. Forget everything else. They're just assholes.
And that brings me back to the gym thing. It's like because you do jiu-jitsu doesn't automatically make you a great person. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's back to the point. I'm probably gonna get some stick from people that I know, but it's just the truth. Like I can go like there's people at my academy where I train. And there's guys that I just I naturally revere to, and we get along really well. And there's people that I wouldn't want to sit down and have a coffee with because I don't get a good vibe from. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're an asshole or whatever. But that's just how it is. You don't get along with everybody. You know what I mean? Like we're at the academy choking each other, and at the end we sing "Kumbaya." Oh, it's ridiculous to think that. So.
It's we can save this for the next time we speak to you, Drew. But this goes into the vibes you get off people and the energy you put out and all this kind of stuff.
Well, listen. I've had a great time, guys. So thank you so much for having me. I'll be more than happy to come back and talk about vibes with you.
Definitely, man. We could do that. And if I'm ever down, Leicester way, I'll give you a shout, man. I'll come train.
As well.
But it was really good fun.
in Nottingham, because if I'm around, I'll get down. I'll come down there. I keep telling Raymond that I'm going to come down and train. I haven't had the opportunity yet. So if you let me know when you're down, then I can kill two birds with one stone. So
awesome.
Cool, man.
Just before we head off, then, Drew, if people are looking to find out more about you, your academy, where can they look you up on the social media? And we'll add this to the notes as well.
So my Instagram is Drew Sullivan 8. Then you can use that on Twitter as well. Same thing. The academy is RGA Northeast or RGA Leicester and RGA Northeast on Instagram as well. And if my website is jiujitsurga.com.
Awesome. We'll get that added into the notes. Episode 26 in the can. Drew Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. I've had a great time with you guys. I've really, really enjoyed this.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. Take care.
The Silly Goose Gang Podcast.